Welcome, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Marianne Hensley, and I'm the Vice President of Marketing for FreightWaves, and we are happy to be presenting this webinar in partnership with Trucker Tools. Today, we are specifically going to be exploring how new disruptive technologies can enable brokers to drive greater productivity, grow their businesses, and really set themselves up for success. We'll be hearing insights from Prasad Gollapalli, founder and CEO of Trucker Tools, as well as personal accounts from Tom Curry, who is the Vice President of Logistics for Kingsgate Logistics, and Diana Bullington, who's the IT Director for Sifan Logistics. We'll also have a live Q&A following the presentation. Before we get started, I'd just like to cover a couple of housekeeping items. First, if you have any issues during the webinar, please feel free to reach out to our team via the chat function in your Zoom control panel. Also, if you have questions that you would like to ask our presenters, you can enter those through the Q&A box in your control panel, and we'll answer as many of those as we have time for during the live audience Q&A following the speaker presentation. And at this point, I would like to go ahead and turn it over to Prasad.
Thank you, Marianne. Thank you, FreightWaves, for the opportunity for us to have this webinar this afternoon. And good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for taking time to be part of our webinar today. Today we have two amazing thought leaders as panelists on our webinar, Diana Bullington and Tom Curry. I'll have our panelists introduce themselves and share a little bit about their background. Diana, would you start?
Sure, Prasad. Glad to be here today. I'm Diana Bullington. I'm IT Director with Sifan Logistics. I've been in transportation since 1995, started as a developer, and now sitting in an IT Director position. We do use Trucker Tools and Smart Capacity heavily in our company, and I'm excited to be here and to share with the panel of our experiences with Trucker Tools and Smart Capacity.
Thank you, Diana. Tom, would you also share your background and a little bit about your company?
Yeah, absolutely. My name again is Tom Curry with Kingsgate Logistics. We're out of Westchester, Ohio. It's in the Cincinnati area. I've been in the logistics space for over 12 years now. I've worked both on the logistics side and also with a refrigerated carrier as a produce hauler for about 4.5 years or so. We've been using Trucker Tools platform since the beginning of 2017, and we are early adopters of Smart Capacity and some of the other tools that the team has put together as well. Appreciate the opportunity to be with you all today.
Thank you, Tom. So as the backdrop of our webinar today, let me just look at the state of the industry as of today, or looking back into 2018. Some of the factors that most of you have heard and seen in 2018 are tighter capacity, although the capacity has been easing up in the recent weeks. There's a continued driver shortage, process inefficiencies, and growing economy. In addition to all of this, there has been an influx of Uber-like models, primarily beating on lack of efficiency in broker model, which we personally think not completely true. When we look at the top issues faced by brokers, the top 3 issues that that most of the brokers are facing today are primarily too many calls to cover a load. About 80 to 90% of the carriers that work with brokers fall into one load wonders, meaning they drop off after covering one load. And multiple sources of capacity, no one source, no accurate real-time source. So while we dive down into these 3 issues faced by the brokers, typically we hear 30 to 40 calls to cover one load. That's pretty high. And most of the carriers, about 80 to 90% of the qualified carriers that brokers use today fall into one load wonder. typically leaving the system after moving a load, and that's consistent across the board. And even more profound thing is that there is no one accurate source of capacity available. People use spreadsheets, phone calls, load boards, emails, inbound, outbound, pretty much everything that they could find in sourcing capacity. So the common theme is there's no accurate source for capacity. Again, that becomes the core of the relationship between the broker community and the carriers. And all these things are driving the cost of covering loads for brokers and people upstream, such as shippers as well, and cutting into the profits of these brokers and 3PLs. Let me take a pause there and bring our panelists back into the conversation and see what they think about some of these challenges, looking backwards into 2018, but more importantly, how do they see that these factors playing in 2019, like an outlook. So let me start with Tom.
Yeah, so for us in our business, we're in a really great spot for the opportunity to secure market share. I think everyone on this webinar should be excited about the idea of being able to do that, not just for ourselves as a logistic provider, but as the 3PL industry in general. I think we're in a really good position to do that. So it's got us excited about the future. The reality is our ability to execute on that is going to be driven by really our ability to secure capacity. And so that's the biggest challenge that we continue to focus our team on. So, look, last month we had an opportunity. We had a 30% increase in new opportunities for clients. So that's new freight, new loads that we could be working on today. And some of that we were able to capture through some capacity retention tools, but there's some of that we didn't get. And so there's a huge emphasis on being able to really fill that void. And if we're going to continue to grow that market share, it's going to be because we're able to really leverage our capacity that we already have.
Thank you, Tom. Diana, do you also see these issues that we saw in 2018 playing an impact in 2019 for most of the brokers, or are there other challenges that you foresee?
Absolutely. Just like Tom said, getting that capacity is a challenge with the mandated ELDs and so many drivers not being able to drive as much as what they were. Because of that, it's just difficult to get good drivers and to get to the locations when you need to. We see that being in the Atlanta area, which is where we're located, of course, we end up with the traffic issues of which detains loads. So being able to get team drivers, so any tools that we can have to be able to see that capacity and use that capacity is definitely a plus of trying to get everything covered, because just like Tom, we're constantly increasing the freight that we're hauling and need that capacity in even greater ways, and trying to find good carriers that can support our customer base that we need to.
Thank you, Diana. So, consistent with what our panelists have said, to address these challenges, we have launched Smart Capacity back in end of 2017, and the purpose of Smart Capacity is it's a platform that helps brokers build their carrier network, grow it for capacity, real-time accurate capacity. So we call it Carrier Capacity and Relationship Management Platform. It is not a load board. It is not a one-trick wonder. It is a long-term platform for brokers that helps them build their carrier relationships so that they can have sustained capacity available throughout. The goals of our platform are to reduce your costs, your meaning brokers and 3PLs, and reduce your cost of covering a load, and increase your profits. So another way to look at our platform is we're more than a platform. We champion the idea of, we want our customers to think like an asset-based company. It's a new mindset where you're putting truck in front of the load. You're focused on growing your carrier relationships so that you have that sustained capacity available in your network at any given time, so you could comfortably grow your business. And the other way to look at that is you are bringing in efficiency by getting more freight out of each carrier and not have a one-load wonder. So let me pause here for 1 second and also see if our panelists have any thoughts on this new mindset that we're promoting. Diana, would you share any thoughts on this?
Sure. With obviously the challenge is having as many capacity as you have for your loads. So we find ourselves going out and shopping for capacity and onboarding capacity much more so, which is going to your asset side base, because you've got to make sure you've got the capacity to cover your customers and what's the freight you're hauling. And it's a different mindset. It's a challenge for when you've always had enough trucks to cover your freight. So it's a challenge to put yourself in that mindset when you've always thought something different. But it's a good thing because it is teaching you new skills and giving it quality back to your customers.
Thank you, Diana. Tom, do you have anything on this to share with the audience?
Yeah, I mean, for me, when I think about when I started slinging freight, 12 years ago, we were constantly missing opportunity because we weren't accessing the capacity that we already had. It's kind of the way I think about it is, imagine going through the process to buy a new car every time you need to drive to work. And that's really what we've been doing as brokerages for quite a while. We've done a lot of things to make technology better for the car buying process, right? So we've got all this great new onboarding technology. We can onboard carriers quicker than we ever have. But the reality is we're still buying cars as opposed to driving the one that we already have the key to. And so, this is it's a change in a mindset. It's a change in complete perspective of how we do normal processes. And so, it's a big shift. But I think as we continue to talk through the need for capacity, you're going to find more and more people that are trying to figure out how do I use what I already have, as opposed to just bringing more and more through the door.
Thank you, Tom. And I like your analogy on buying a new car every time you need to drive or you need to go somewhere. It's on that same analogy, in this space, we have a limited carriers out there that are registered, that are in business. Every day we are getting new carriers, but that's not at the same rate as we are getting new freight. And so everybody is using the same, more or less the same pool of carriers, including the so-called Uber models. No one is adding any additional capacity. So it's not just finding capacity, but keeping that capacity in your network consistently helps a broker have that reliability on finding more freight to cover. So with that, I want to share with you on how we at Trucker Tools see and address these problems that our customers who are brokers, they face every day. So the top three issues that brokers have, majority of their carriers falling into this one-load wonders, taking too many calls to cover a freight, no accurate real-time, no one source of capacity, just multiple sources and inaccurate data. So those are the three issues that we cover through our smart capacity. So the goals for our smart capacity are convert your one-load wonders into repeat business, provide you an accurate real-time source of capacity. So you're not having to go through multiple sources, and with the goals of how do we significantly reduce the number of calls that your team makes to cover a load. So the core of our platform is built on accurate real-time data. So when you look at all the issues that the brokers face today, these issues stem from the fact that there is no accurate real-time data on where these trucks are available. So we built a platform that takes that very seriously. So everything is built on accurate real-time data. So when Smart Capacity provides you capacity days in advance, it's still very accurate. So because of that, we were able to address some of these issues that our customers face. The second part is, how do we help our customers build and grow their network? The key part of a broker's success, as our panelist mentioned, is having that ability, the carrier network, reliable carrier network that they can depend on to cover freight is the key to growing their business. And all that comes from getting more freight from each carrier. So there is repeat business coming in. So when, for a customer, a typical customer who is on our platform, when a carrier moves a load for that customer, the goal for our platform is to keep that carrier in your network beyond that one load, and hence getting repeat loads for you without having to go outside and find new carriers every time you have freight. There's also automated tools within the platform that use artificial intelligence and natural language processing to create efficiencies. So to replace some of the manual tasks that your team is doing. And I'll go into the details of this in a little bit. It's an all-in-one platform, private and confidential. So what I mean by private and confidential is it's not a public load board. Anything that you put on this platform is fully confidential and secure. And we see this as, it's almost like an opposite of a public load board. So your information is not shared with anyone else and stays confidential and within your own network. Now, let's look at some of the tools for success here through Smart Capacity. So when we look at the tools for success, tools come in two flavors. One is providing you information to help you make better decisions. Two, help you automate tasks. And these two categories are kind of interlinked at times. So the first part, I'm going to share a couple of them, not all of them, is that tools that help you make better decisions. So our platform gives you market level data, give you quick information on trucks versus load ratios, so that you can quickly see where you need to employ more resources, and if there is a pricing change that you would like to implement to quickly respond to market conditions. These are all based on market level data that helps you make decisions quickly and not take too much time to help your business. And similarly, when you dive deep down, when you look at any particular carrier, the platform also gives you enough intelligence around that carrier, such as the markets that these carriers run into, helping your team build those relationships and align your freight with the carrier's interests. So again, this will build that relationship that you're looking for with the carriers, with the goals of finding more loads out of that carrier than just one. There are other tools that help your team, such as being able to reach to multiple carriers at the same time through quotes, and receive multiple quotes from carriers at the same time. But these are all, again, helping you automate some of the manual tasks. Another key part in our platform that helps the brokers in automation is email parsing. The platform uses natural language and machine learning, and so it can read emails that you receive from carriers in real time, convert them into trucks, check what lanes these trucks run, or these carriers run, find matched freight from your system, put them in an email and send them back to the carriers in real time. It takes just all this in few seconds to do that. So our tagline for that is "Fill trucks, not your inbox." So these are all happening without your staff sitting there in front of the computer round the clock. So it helps you automate most of these manual tasks. Now, when we look at the key differentiators according, or differentiating our platform from the competitors here in this space, our biggest differentiator is our mobile app, smartphone app. We have over 550,000 truckers who have downloaded our app, primarily small carrier drivers and owner operators. And when you look at the carrier count, unique carrier count, it's over 115,000 carriers and growing. So that provides real-time truck capacity to our customers. That is the core of our platform. So the app that we built is geared towards the drivers. It helps drivers with everything that they need on the road, such as cheapest fuel, service centers, weigh scales, rest areas, all building that stickiness that drivers can look into in regularly using the app. And hence the app can provide such valuable data for our customers such as you as brokers. Here is a screenshot of our active users on the app. Now, the other key differentiator for us is end-to-end solution. So this is not a one-trick pony in any way. So Smart Capacity has various parts to it, covering freight, tracking freight, and once the freight has been delivered by the driver, scanning documents, proof of delivery documents, and send them back to you and reload the truck. So that going from end to end is the key of our key offering of our platform. So let me take a quick second and share a little bit about our tracking as well, because visibility has been such a big part in 2018, where most of the shippers today either enforce or require most of the brokers to have real-time visibility of where the freight is. So when we built Smart Capacity, the first thing that we did was add tracking as part of our app. Again, everything being in one offering as one smartphone app for the driver helped us build that driver community. Also, an app that is built for drivers has less of a resistance from the driver community for tracking, as opposed to if this were a only tracking app. So drivers don't see our tracking as being so much of a big brother, but as a part of a toolbox, right? And two, our tracking also uses GPS and a high frequency pinging, and so it provides you accurate pickup and delivery confirmations. In today's world, when we talk about visibility, it's not so much that you are looking at where the truck is every 5 minutes, but more importantly, the purpose of tracking has always been, what are the exceptions? If the truck is running behind schedule, how would it impact the dock operations at a shipper location? And what can you do to quickly inform that shipper as part of your service that you provide to your customer? Alerting the shipper about the delay in the freight reaching to that destination. And so as much as we talk about GPS tracking being very accurate and 5-minute ping, the ultimate value that our tracking provides to our customers is that it provides accurate pickup and delivery confirmations, and also alerts on when the freight is delayed, whether it's due to traffic, weather conditions, or just delayed at a particular stop. In many cases, it helps brokers and shippers identify how long a particular truck has been at a particular stop for detention pay. So all this is only valid when there is an accurate information behind that. And again, the accuracy in our tracking helps give you that information. Now, the next step in that cycle is scan documents. In today's world, we still face a lot of double brokering and fraud. So we have built a document scanning that addresses that squarely. It's very easy for the drivers to take a quick picture of their bill of lading or proof of delivery, send it right back to you without being able to hack it. And the system will give you when and where that phone was when the driver took that picture. In some cases, our customers use this as part of their quick pay program, or to validate that the driver has delivered a load, to start the invoicing process, or to provide any other benefits to that carrier. So all that, is provided through an accurate document scanning system. So just to recap everything before we look forward into 2019, the purpose of Smart Capacity is to help brokers with their top 3 issues. One, how do we help brokers convert their one load wonders into repeat business? 2, how do we help brokers reduce the number of calls they take to cover a load? How do we provide them one accurate source of capacity as opposed to multiple sources and not so accurate capacity? So those are the 3 primary goals of our platform. But more important strategic goals of Smart Capacity are how do we help our customers transform into thinking like an asset-based company, use technology to empower them and grow their company and set them for 2019. With that, let me take a quick pause and bring our panelists to see what they think on how technology is helping and empowering brokers, or how they foresee that in 2019. So with that, let me start with Tom.
Yeah, so I think anyone would be surprised if anyone said that technology wasn't already transforming kind of the whole 3PL space. And I know there's a lot of questions that people say, hey, as a broker in this industry, do you feel intimidated by what technology is trying to do? You talk about the Uber freight model and all these things, and I know from our perspective, it actually excites us more than it threatens us, because anytime you have new technology that's really pushing efficiency or profitability, any of these different things, it allows you the opportunity to get better. And with the way we work as a company, we're just restless. We're always looking for better ways and new ways to do things. And so what's been great is seeing a lot of these companies come together to talk through these ideas and really brainstorm together to see how do we continue to bring something to the marketplace that's gonna move the needle. And so technology is going to continue to push. I think you're going to see a lot of drive from an efficiency standpoint. There's a lot of discussion about AI. There's a lot of discussion about hyper personalization in the marketplace. That's a hot topic for us. And I think that you're going to continue to see us start to use technology to help us make decisions. I think some people are worried, hey, is this new technology going to replace my job? Is it going to take away what I'm doing or the value that I'm bringing? And the reality is we have to learn how to partner with the technology to help our team members make better decisions quicker, to help protect our clients' need. And that's just going to give a better reputation to the 3PL industry as a whole. And as we see that, what you're going to find is you're going to see more and more clients and shippers who are interested and leveraging 3PLs to be able to take care of their own freight spend, because they're going to see what we're doing with technology.
Thank you, Tom. Diana, would you also share your thoughts?
I absolutely agree with Tom. As I met with upper management pre-planning for 2019, we came as a group to realize that logistics is quickly becoming more of a technology company than a logistics company. You can't not have technology, and you can't not embrace the technology. We're different. It's a different society than what it used to be. To make a logistics company be, even with the millennials coming in, to make people want to work for a logistics company, we have to be on the cutting edge of technology. Otherwise, they don't want to come to work for us. I attended a summit a few weeks ago around this particular topic. It also helps us become more efficient. To be able to have things like Trucker Tools, Smart Capacity, it makes us work quicker, makes us work smarter, and it helps us be better for our customers, because our bottom line is we're serving those customers. And if we can give them what they need quickly and on time, because they're going to demand and drive that technology as well, we have to be on top of it. We have to embrace it. It's exciting. It's an exciting time. It also has its own fears. Not knowing, the more you are into technology, the more vulnerable you become as a company, the more protecting you've got to be as far as other things that can infringe on. So having great tools like this and partners like Smart Capacity and Trucker Tools that are embracing that technology, but are also giving you secure technology that's protecting your data, protecting your carriers, protecting your freight, because that is the front end of everything else, is protecting your security of that.
Thank you, Diana, for sharing those. You guys have been amazing in sharing your thoughts on how technology helps brokers, but more importantly, your outlook about the 2019. The couple of points I would like to add. One, going back to what Tom said on replace my, some people might think replace my job. And on that particular point, I would like to add something. The one way we look at Smart Capacity is, how could Smart Capacity help your carrier sales reps improve the number of loads that they cover in a day? So let's say a carrier sales rep is moving 6 to 8 loads. Can they double that using this technology? Can they triple it, right? Those are all the challenges that we put on ourselves. A good way to look at that, right? The second one also want to cover on is efficiency is going to be a continuous process in this space. As new entrants from Silicon Valley are entering, they're only telling us what we already know, that we need to be more efficient. But more importantly, as the other driving factors in this space, such as driver shortage, more e-commerce, so the underlying dynamics of a supply chain are changing, and the economy keeps growing, we need to be more efficient. So nobody wants to pay more for transportation tomorrow, but they want it now, on time, with all the flexibility of telling me exactly when the shipment will arrive at my door. The only way we can meet our tomorrow's customers' needs are by being more efficient and letting technology do most of the stuff that we as humans may not be able to do or accomplish in a day. That, I think we came to the end of our webinar. Marianne, I will pass it back to you and see if our audience have any questions.
Absolutely, and thank you so much to Prasad and Tom and Diana as well for sharing your perspectives. As Prasad mentioned, we will open it up to the Q&A from the audience. So if you have not already sent in your questions, feel free to do that. We do have several that have come in so far, so I don't want to delay. We'll jump right into those. So Prasad, you mentioned a bit about one-load wonders. Can you provide some reasons for one-load wonders, and do you have any idea about the success ratio of one-load wonders to repeat carriers?
So the first part on the one-load wonders, the reasons for one-load wonders are primarily because two things happening. One, you as a broker, when you load a carrier, maybe your team is not looking at reloading that carrier. The reasons could be many, such as your team may not know all the markets that that carrier would like to go. Two, you may not have a reload for that carrier, which even an important thing. But the other critical reason could be that the other parts of your organization may not know that this carrier has been booked on one of your loads and going to be available in, let's say, Atlanta tomorrow morning, that they could use. These are all some of the reasons. And another reason that I see is carrier sales reps have the tendency to hold their carriers a little bit more personal and not publicly share among their colleagues in that organization. These factors typically leave that carrier open and not give that carrier a reload opportunity. Then, if we can tear down these walls by providing a technology that can connect various parts of a company or within that 3PL or the broker to quickly alert the other part of the company saying that, hey, this carrier is going to be available in Atlanta tomorrow morning and is currently moving one of your loads. You have a load that matches that carrier's market preference, and you have that load in Atlanta tomorrow morning so they can pick it up. That immediately connecting these dots through technology helps, right? Now, the later part of that is, do we have any metrics on the conversions from one-load wonders to repeat business? We don't, but that's one of the numbers that we are currently looking at. And as soon as we have those numbers, we'll be happy to share with you.
Okay.
And Prasad, if you don't mind, I'd love to jump in and just add a piece to that with the one-load wonders. I think for the longest time, to Prasad's point, it's been not having a technology that would really latch on to what we all really want to do. I don't think there's anyone in this space that says, hey, I love to just keep onboarding new carriers and not use the carriers that I already have a relationship with. And but the challenge has been getting that technology all the way to the front lines. It's easy to buy it, it's easy to put it in your system, it's easy to talk about it, but to get front end users to really start using it and leveraging it is a completely different discussion. And if you're really going to turn those one-load wonders into repeated business, the technology has got to help. So where we're most excited about what we're seeing with smart capacity is kind of this load matching technology that I know Prasad touched on a little bit, where the Trucker Tools team asked me, I don't know, a month ago, do you get truck lists with availabilities at all? Well, yeah, we get them all the time. And I remember Prasad and his team asking me, well, do you do anything with them? I said, yeah, we delete them. That's all we really do with them. And the reality is there's a lot of us that just delete them and funnel them all, and our operations team is doing that. And what they're doing with this load matching is we've got auto forwards coming into all this capacity, and we flip that switch on, I think, just within a couple of weeks here. And we have now got opportunity to turn these one-load wonders over, because they'll put us on an email list, and we just don't do anything with it. And we sent out just this past week, after we flipped this on, we had a carrier capacity email come in at 8:41, and at 8:47, that carrier was already reaching out to us about a load that smart capacity had informed them about, because they're a part of our network. And so that's how you get there. And it's really, you got to be willing to use the tools. And the nice thing is we haven't had to train our front end as to how to really do that, because we've used just an auto forward process to connect to smart capacity, and we're able to scrub that data and really offer out our shipments to those one load carriers from the past.
Great, and thank you, Tom. Moving on to the next question. Are you able to share what % of available capacity was lost due to the ELD mandate? And what is the impact of the ELD mandate on the capacity for your companies?
Marianne, I believe that's for both
yeah, it
Tom
seems to be for
Diana.
Tom and Diana to kind of share their insights.
Oh, wow. To get a percentage of what we lost, that's kind of difficult. I don't know that I have any really way to measure that. We did see some loss. We quickly recovered from it because we built going into the ELD mandate to make sure that we were prepared for it. So our capacity wasn't lost tremendously as much as we thought it would actually be impacted. But the key was preparing for it, putting the tools in place, that kind of thing, to get us where we needed to be able to cover what we knew we would lose. So we pre-planned to be able to have extra capacity so that we knew what we lost, we really wouldn't see the impact of it on our business.
Yeah, and from our perspective, I can say that in terms of lost capacity, you know, when I was at that refrigerated carrier, we lost, when we implemented ELDs clearly before the it was ever really enforced, and we lost maybe about 3 to 4% of our owner operators when we made that switch. In terms of what we really lost, though, it wasn't so much losing the capacity as it was we lost the what we would call the efficiency of the capacity, you know, where, and it hurt us most on our short haul, you know, when you start talking about loads that are right at that 600, 650 mark, that was just really at the cusp. A lot of that turned into 2-day shipments. And so where it became more of a challenge is, you know, our rates increased, and it's just because we were trying to meet the requirements that these carriers now had. So it's not that we necessarily lost capacity, but we did lose some efficiency with the capacity that we did have.
Yeah, I think that's helpful. Thank you. And then we have another attendee who has kind of some questions, but I think really just kind of wants to get your thoughts a little bit. He says the issue is not ELDs. The issue is we as an industry have not been realistic. Now that ELDs are in place, how many shippers have adjusted their operations to speed load times? Shouldn't shippers change their transit time expectations based on the driver's available logbook times? Any thoughts on that for any of the three of you?
Well, I think that's kind of what I was just speaking to. Actually, was, you know, we had to help reset the expectation on delivery times, and that's tough in an environment and really in a world that, you know, demands 1-day, 2-day shipping. No matter what the item is. I mean, we've all got things headed to our house for Christmas, right? And as we do that, you know, we've got an expectation of when it's going to show up, and our clients are no different within their business. But, you know, for us, it's about that relationship, right? You know, that's where you start talking about leveraging technology and relationship together, where an Uber Freight may not have that. You know, we educate our clients. You know, we're really an extension of their business, and we can help say, you know, I understand that you think, you know, we need to still be able to do that, but the reality is that that's not the way this is going to work. And we can help them from a procurement standpoint to help them understand whether it means, you know, we're loading trucks to a greater capacity when that opportunity is there, or, you know, we're figuring out warehousing solutions to help them be better prepared when peak season is hitting for their business. It's all about education, I think, for us.
Mm-hmm. I totally would agree with Tom. And also, as most of us coming into a logistics business, we're dealing with customers who have some of their own capacity most of the time. So we're in turn carrying their overflow. So they're dealing with what reality really is themselves. They expected us to be outside of that reality. So as ELDs and capacity became short, they had to adjust their expectations of the logistics company they were using, because they see us affecting their own assets. as well. Because again, they most of the time, at least with our customer base, they will tend to have some assets, and we're helping them cover what they can't cover themselves. So in turn, they've got to live in a reality world, and as long as we have the communication to back to them, we have not seen a big issue with coming to that reality, because their number one thing is communication. And with the tools that Smart Capacity and Trucker Tools are giving us, we're able to communicate accurately. Because that was one of our number one buying features when we started using Trucker Tools, which we had before we did Smart Capacity, was the accuracy. We couldn't see that with other vendors. It was literally point on exact spot of where that driver was sitting. That is what your customer needs to know. If you can be honest with them, they're going to be okay with it. They will live in the reality as long as you're being honest and they're giving them accurate information. They want accuracy in reality, not something that you've made up. Before the technology and these kind of tools, sometimes you were just giving them a ballpark. They need to know accurate, because they're got shipping lines, whatever, that depend on you getting that freight where it needs to get to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great points. And Prasad, for you, how do you achieve real-time truck capacity data? Is this information provided by carriers that have bought into the tool?
Without completely disclosing our secret sauce on that, let me still share more details. So primarily, the capacity comes from our app. We have a very strong adoption of drivers with our app. We have over 550,000 truckers, and they're active on the app. So there is that real-time capacity, analytics that's coming from the app. Two, this capacity is also verified with the carriers and the drivers. And having an app that is, constantly used by this community of drivers helps us keep that capacity clean. Now, this is where our secret sauce comes. On top of that is our platform has been built in such a way that it uses a lot of machine learning, where it can look at every data point. Even if it's a bad data point, it can learn from it and give you a data piece or an availability that you could use. And constantly connecting dots is an important thing, right? Where the trucks are available, what lanes they are driving. Our app has been used by this community for the past many years. So there is that wealth of knowledge that our systems are built on that basically helps us quickly weed out bad data points.
Okay.
I don't know if I completely answered the question, but I hope so.
I think that's good. I think it's good. Does the brokerage industry feel threatened by the emerging advancements in application programming interface? Any thoughts on that?
I would say that, in that case, I would ask Tom and Diana to see what they think, because they're representing the broker community on this one.
Mm-hmm.
We did not feel threatened by it at all. The technology has been out there for a while. A lot of the EDI, electronic data interchange, is always already using some of that. API is more advanced. For us, we're super excited about it, because without APIs, we would have to continue doing a lot of manual updates to websites and that kind of stuff. With the integration of APIs, that opens up to making us have a lot of automated things going into our customers. That is super exciting. We've already done this with several of our larger customers, and are onboarding as much as possible as we can with those. Most of the tools like Smart Capacity are already using those APIs. So it is a great piece of technology that actually will help us in logistics a lot.
Yeah, and it's the same thing over here with Kingsgate. I mean, to be quite honest, we're more excited than we are concerned or threatened by what's happening in the industry with technology. To be quite honest, I feel like we're like children running through a big wheat field with our arms wide open. We're ready for it. We're excited about it, and we think it's going to be fun.
Great. See, sorting through here. Do you feel that brokerages are more quick to react to changes in the technology? And if so, do you feel like this provides an advantage to brokerages over the slower adjusting asset companies?
Definitely, I think Tom and Diana could share their viewpoints, but I could share from what I hear, from within our customer community or potential customers that we spoke to. There's definitely a big difference in brokers' mindset as of now, as compared to many years back. Everyone that we talk to, they're not opposed to using technology. The first thing is sometimes they, like Tom has earlier said, how do we get this technology to the forefront of our people who use it regularly? So that, from a management point, from a leadership point, all the 3PLs and brokers are, if anything, they're embracing technology very well today. If they can get the most out of it now, they want the technology to be a huge leverage. From what from what we hear, Diana, Tom, do you guys want to share?
No, I would totally agree. Again, from my perspective, working in a carrier environment for 4.5 years, technology was we were a lot slower to be able to adopt it. And the reason for that is because we had so many other irons in the fire, right? We're dealing with trailer repairs, tractor repairs, tires. We've got all this maintenance and safety requirements that really kept us busy, and a lot of our technology was really being focused on that. And because in our space we're really able to focus on the execution of the shipment and visibility and all of those different things. I think what we'll find is we'll find more carriers that are interested in a stronger partnership with a 3PL. Because we're going to be able to give them access to technology and tools that they don't have time to be able to invest in or time to be able to figure out.
Yeah, I would agree with Tom, and also from the perspective of broker, we were already embracing that technology. Your business depends on the technology. That's how you come up and how you make your revenue and where your profits are coming from. So we were already a step above the assets. Again, just like Tom talked about, we have the manpower to do it. We also have the knowledge to be able to do it where assets do not. We're dealing in a much younger group of people, and a lot of times that where your assets and your truckers tend to be, an older age. So your younger generation obviously embraces technology much more so than your older generations do. So that gives us an advantage on top of them, and also just for them to depend on us. I think that'll become more so than what it was. I think 3PLs are going to be exploding compared to where they currently are. It's going to grow tremendously fast.
Great, thank you. And Prasad, we had a couple of people actually ask for a little bit more detail around how email parsing works. Can you add some color to that?
Sure, absolutely. So the email parsing is part of our Smart Capacity platform. So when customers sign up with our Smart Capacity platform, this is part of that solution. And so people would set auto forward rules or have their carriers CC specific email address to forward those carrier emails to us in real time without someone sitting there and manually doing it. So once the email comes into our Smart Capacity platform, it uses natural language processing to read those emails, convert them into real-time trucks, and verify if those trucks are still available. Because again, we have a huge database of available trucks, and so it checks if those trucks are still available, and check what carriers, what lanes these carriers run, or what markets these carriers run into, and then go back into your available loads, match those loads based on those carrier market data, and put them in an email, send them back to the carrier all in few seconds, like Tom, earlier Tom has explained an example of, it took them 4 minutes or so to get the carrier back calling on a load. So it happens in few seconds, all of it from end to end. Now, when carrier responds back to those emails, there are two ways they can do that. One, they can send a quote back into our system that can come back to you, or they can respond back to that email. If they respond back to that email, it comes to you. Our system also gets a quote. So they can, again, the natural language processing can convert that into quotes and put them back into your, put into the system for your team. And here is the icing on the cream here. When one of those trucks is already booked, our system automatically removes them so that your team is not calling on stale data. The reason we could do that is, again, we have a lot of capacity, available capacity. So there's verification there. Two, sometimes we also see the same email being sent to multiple brokers. If one of the brokers books that truck, we remove that. We don't share your emails with anyone else. It's completely confidential. It stays with you. However, if someone else books that truck, we'll just help you not call on stale information.
Okay, great. And then can you share any information about how many drivers are using the app's tracking features in a given day? And does that work well with data being sent from ELDs or other sources?
So in terms of using the app, it's, I would say more than half of our drivers use the app. If you look at the last 30 days or 90 days, more than half of them use the app. From a regular point of view, just in terms of capacity, it's just, I can say it's well over 100,000, and it's growing.
Okay, great.
Develop.
And then I think kind of for all three of you, as larger asset-based carriers are growing their brokerage businesses faster than their own asset business, this pulls from the same carrier pool as traditional brokers. How do you best manage this trend as it continues over time?
I'll let our guests respond to that first. Diana, do you want to respond to it? Diana and Tom.
I get to go first. This is an interesting time to be able to manage this. It's kind of a very difficult question, honestly, for me to answer. As a brokerage, your business is growing faster. We have some of the bigger assets that look to us to assist them in terms of brokerage. I guess you call that double brokering. It works well for us. How do you manage it? Golly, you've got to be on top of knowing, building that carrier base. You've got to have that carrier base ready to accept it, to where when those assets need your assistance, that you've got everything to cover their freight, because you're looking at their customers. So you've got to be ready for the trend. It's a wave that it's very different. It's a different mindset. I think that's one of the things. I've been in brokerage for about 20-something years now. It's a different mindset than what I've ever experienced in the time. It's hard when you've been in the business so long to switch that, but at the same time, it's great to see the trends moving that way, to where those services are so much more valued. It makes your value so much higher for your assets than what they were before. And I think asset companies will begin to need that assistance, because again, just like we talked about before, they can't grow technology as fast as logistics can. So you'll see a lot of your bigger assets moving into getting managed by 3PLs and logistics companies.
Yeah, and I think from my perspective, there are another brokerage that's growing. I think, I'd be shocked to see many brokers not growing in this atmosphere that we're kind of in right now. So it doesn't concern me too much from that point. But what I think it does is it places a greater emphasis on the need to access the capacity that you already have. I think if you really invest into the relationships, to the carrier base that you have, listen, our company, we're kind of founded on this whole idea of these relationships, and we're just going to continue to keep our focus there. So we've got that capacity that we do have.
I agree with what Diana and Tom has said, and to add to that, in one way, I think there is a lot more emphasis on the human touch in technology, in transportation, more than ever that we have ever known until now, because it's not an automated booking thing. It's not a completely technology taking over the brokerages or the transportation now. At the same time, the way supply chain is transforming, there is a lot of need for trust and build these relationships. So a human and a technology together play is in the books very hard at this point. And looking forward, again, my viewpoint is those companies, those organizations that see this. In the last many years, we had the opportunity to talk to some of the leading thought leaders in this space that are seeing. I mean, pretty much they have the 8 ball, right? These are leaders who are really championing, like Tom and Diana on this panel. They are looking into the future a lot. From what we hear, the technology is the technology that's available today is playing an important role in helping brokers build these human net relationships. So it's not either or. But from a market point, those organizations that can leverage this technology and human relationship well can easily adapt to the cycles in transportation, the ups and downs or the seasonalities in transportation well, than an asset-based company, if you want to compare those two.
Okay, great. And thank you all for being here. That is really all of the time that we have for today. I know there are several questions that we didn't get to, but I'm certain that Prasad would love to follow up with you after, so we'll plan to have him do that. Thank you again to Prasad and Tom and Diana for all being here, and to the audience for your engagement today. This has been a great conversation. We hope you found it valuable, and we hope you'll join us again next time.
Thank you, FreightWaves and Marianne. Thank you, Diana and Tom, for taking time. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Have a great day, everyone.